this is Russ. Hey, I'm back in the car again. Yeah. So where am I headed? Well, where do I always head? Actually, I've already been there, and so I've just been driving around here. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about homicides. That's an interesting topic, huh? Yeah, homicides. I was recently talking to one of our neighbors, and we were talking about their kids going to school, and they're of the age now where well, one of them's in college, the other's a senior in high school. So I was telling them a little bit about my past and various jobs I've done, and I told them that when I look back, the things that I've done as far as job wise have all related to each other, even though I couldn't see it at the time. Yeah, it's true. Almost every job, every experience I learned from job to job, I've taken that experience and applied it to the next jobs. So everything connected. So I told them, as you go through your college career, you've picked things that you think you're going to get into in life, and then you may or may not actually get into it. My bachelor's is in electronics engineering. I was never an electronics engineer, but I did take that training to a lot of other things that I've done. And so I said, sometimes you don't see it at the time, but the life lessons that you learn are valuable because they will help you in future things. The parents also agreed. They said that's a very good advice. And the kids seemed to understand that, which was good, We also talked about grade point averages, and I told them that, I was just 1B shy of a 4.0 grade point average when I went back to school to learn to be an evidence technician. And I knew that I needed to be the top student in order to get a job in it. And it got me my job, of course. And but going forward from that point, does grade point averages really count that much? And we kind of all agreed that the GPA wasn't such a big deal to anything other than the very first job that you get. Yeah. So we said, yeah, nobody really looks at your GPA in subsequent jobs. They just want to know what your background was. But I was quick to remind them all. I says, but that's not to tell you guys to go blow off your classes because the GPA doesn't count. I mean, you still have to work hard, learn as much as you can, get as best grades that you can, and then, that's important for that very first job, okay? So as we were talking about, my background. They all had an interest in the fact that, I had worked in the world of forensics. And forensics is kind of an interesting word because, they always say, oh, this is the forensics team, Look up the word forensic in the dictionary, and you'll find it just has things that have to deal with legal things. It doesn't necessarily mean you're a forensic crime scene person, okay? I mean, you could be a forensic dentist, you could be a forensic odontologist is what they call them. You could be a forensic accountant. These aren't crime lab guys, okay? Although some of the work that they do, could be used for solving crimes and the like. But the point is the word forensic has always been an interesting word to me because when people hear the word forensics, the first thing they think of is a crime lab guy. So anyway, we were talking about some of the things that I had done, and they asked me, he says, well, did you go to see any of these homicides? I go, of course, that's part of the job. And they couldn't believe the things that I had seen, and he says, how do you get through that? And I told them, I says, what we were always told was not to look at, the body as a person anymore, but simply as another piece of evidence. Because you have to kind of detach yourself from it. If you don't, it will eventually start affecting you. So So I says, yeah, we don't really see it as a person anymore. You really can't. You just have to go about your business and do the crime scene as another piece of evidence, okay? And that sounds kind of cold, I know, but if you've ever worked in that field, you understand what I'm saying, okay? And they asked me if do you still see that stuff? I go, yeah, in your brain you kind of see it still, and you still smell it too. I can still smell the death, because I've had some cases where I've had I had decomp body, and I've told that story before, the refrigerator man story. If you've never heard the story, just go to the main Russ is Right page, okay, and then the Russ is Right YouTube page, and then do a search within there for refrigerator. Just type in refrigerator, and you'll see me talk about the refrigerator man case. And so I says, yeah, you can still remember these things. It's not stuff that goes away. You always remember. I told him I can smell it now as I'm talking to you. And that smell never goes away. It's something that will always stay with you. So yeah, I told him you have to detach yourself from that. Now the reason I'm bringing this up is recently in this general area there was a homicide that happened, I guess, I think it was the day before Thanksgiving, something like that. And as I was passing it, as I was driving here now, I'm going to probably pass it again right now. Well, not this moment, but we're heading towards there. So it's not too far from this general area that we usually drive in. And you're talking about the event occurred, I think, the day before Thanksgiving. And from what I read in the newspapers, or not the newspapers, but on the internet, on the news reports. There you go. They said that the police were summoned to do some type of welfare check, and that when they went in there, they found a woman had been shot in the head. And I guess she later died in the hospital. So I guess she wasn't dead yet. So I don't know who called this in for them to know to go there to even do a welfare check. But my whole point is this. They were the ones that told me, the people that I was talking about a moment ago, about this. And they said, have you heard about it? I said, no, I haven't been paying that much attention to the news. But it's pretty close. It's very close to where we ride our bike in the forest preserves. If you remember my forest preserve rides. So it's very close to there. And even now, here it is Monday, they're still investigating there, because I can see a police car was there with the lights on. Crime scene tape is still up. So it's several days they're still investigating. Now, that's not unusual. Even when I was working for San Diego PD, they'd go back and do the investigations. And for me, even when I worked at the DA's office at the time, we'd go back and do supplemental photos and the like. When it goes back to trial and everything, sometimes you need extra pictures that weren't shot during, after the investigation. You find out about something. Maybe they didn't shoot something at the time because it wasn't thought to be important at the time. But then later we find out it is important, so you have to go back and shoot this stuff. So I've been in and out of crime scenes, whether working for the police department or whether working for the DA's office. But this is a crime here locally that happened, I'm thinking it was the day before Thanksgiving, and here it is now the Monday after Thanksgiving. So this is Cyber Monday that I'm doing this video. They're still there. They're still there. Once we pass this area, you might be able to see it out of my window. On this side, you'll probably see the police car, and then you'll see crime scene tape up. So that stuff brings back memories to me of the things that I used to work with. The one thing that my crime lab supervisor told me when I was working for the San Diego Police Department, I was still interning at the time, and I remember him telling me, he says, Russ, you'll never be rich as an evidence tech, but you'll have a lot of good stories to tell. Yeah, I miss him. He passed away, sadly. I heard that he had passed. And so the interesting part is I still have his phone number in my phone because I can't seem to get myself to delete it. And he passed away many, many, many years ago. So yeah, it's little things like that that you just kind of, yeah, it's just something I can't do. All right. Yeah, I miss the guy. So anyway, we're gonna drive past it soon, I think. Or did we already drive past it? I think we already drove past it. They must have taken it down. They must have just recently taken it down. I just passed it maybe 10 minutes ago. I just circled around and came back. Yeah, we've already passed it. Yeah, they must have taken it down. They're done. They're done. I didn't even see crime scene tape. Did you see crime scene tape? I was talking. I didn't even pay attention. Oh, well. I was hoping to show it to you out of the window. But maybe not now. All right, we'll swing back around. Well, we're not going to swing back over there. I didn't see it. I was in the lane that the police car would have been in, that it was, you know, kind of parked out there. So the fact that I didn't have to move over tells me they're done. Anyway, I think back about some of the things that I used to do in the past, and I think working in law enforcement was always one of the things that I thought was one of the more interesting things that I did. One of the most rewarding things as well, and I think the second most rewarding thing probably would be this YouTube channel. No, is teaching photography out of my own photography school. You know, just teaching all these students how to work their cameras and stuff. I really wonder whether all of them remember everything I taught them. I'm sure they didn't. Many of them tend to forget, because some of them still contact me asking me about, you know, how do you do this, how do you do that, and I tell them, yeah, I do. I don't charge them for basic information. I tell them again. And then I would say the third rewarding thing is actually this YouTube channel. Yeah. I never thought that I'd be doing something like this, but I'm grateful that I have the YouTube channel to do, and that companies have given me bikes to review and the like, you know. So anyway, these are just things I'm thinking off the top of my head of things I've used to do, and things I'm grateful for having had the opportunity to do it. So anyways, hopefully you guys have found things that you enjoyed doing. I know a lot of people sometimes in their past jobs, they're not too happy with what they did. And I would have to say a good amount of the things that I did were things I was happy to do. Oh, and also, you know, like I said, I was a wedding photographer for like 30 years, you know. Even while I was working crime scenes, I was a wedding photographer. So, yeah, many things I've done, I would say I've been very lucky to be able to do. People look back and say, you've had a varied career path. I go, yep, I have. And I enjoyed them too. That's the difference, I think. Not everybody gets that opportunity. Some people have to work, especially in positions that they don't like to be in or want to be in, but they have to do it. I've had more opportunities to do things that I've enjoyed and wanted to do. Well, the one thing that I always wanted to do and never really had a chance to professionally do, except for a small time, was either be a professional musician or a professional recording engineer, audio recording engineer. I have produced some CD projects for other groups in the past out of my small studio that I did. I ran that out of our stereo store. I think I talked about this before, where we converted one of our sound rooms into a studio. One room was the studio, the other room was the control room. But as far as, you know, on a large scale, I never got a chance to really do that. Today, I just play music at church as one of the worship team members. But that's probably the one thing that I wish I had more opportunity to have done. But I do like the fact that I did other things that I also enjoyed. So anyway, hey, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. More videos to come. You know, these talks will continue to happen because it gives me something to do while I'm driving around. And then we'll, of course, do our Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday e-bike related videos too. All right, hit the subscribe button on your way out if you haven't already done so. Talk to you guys later.